Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our information session for FIU's 100% online Master of Science in Special Education Autism Endorsement track. My name is Carla Maria. I will be your moderator today, and I am part of the FIU online team at the university. I've been a part of FIU for over 10 years now. And in my role, I work to help professionals like yourselves figure out what to do next and which program is the best fit based on whatever your career goals are. And I have a team of people here that I want you to meet and I want you to connect with, because if you decide to join this program, you will be working very closely with each of these persons. The first person I want you to meet is Dr. Elizabeth Kramer, Distinguished University Professor and Graduate Program Director for the Master of Science in Special Education and Autism Endorsement, but really so much more, a true leader in the field at FIU and in the K through 12 system. Dr. Kramer, would you give a warm welcome to hopefully our future students and also a little background about yourself?
Sure. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm happy to be here with you this evening. So like Carla mentioned, I am a professor of special education here at FIU. I also oversee all of the graduate programs within teaching and learning, but one of my favorite programs that I oversee is this Master's of Special Education in the fully online. I actually created this program a number of years ago. It was the first fully online master's program that we offered in the College of Education at the time. And I'm a professor who teaches a third of the courses that take place in this program. So it is my pleasure to be here with you this evening and hopefully answer some questions you might have and share with you more about our program.
Thank you, Dr. Kramer. And we also have Jacqueline Dipp, Coordinator of Academic Support Services. Jackie, would you also give a warm hello and introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Carla. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for making it today to be with us and learn about our online program in special education. My name is Jackie, and I work with our graduate students, our online graduate students, and I look forward to welcoming you into our graduate student community here at FIU's School of Education.
Thank you, Jackie. And we also have with us Alexandra Ramirez, Program Assistant. Alexandra, would you like to give a hello to our future students as well?
Hi.
Thank you, Alexandra. And well, if you're here today, we hope that you get to learn lots of information about our program, about the university, and hopefully about just why this program exists and its purpose in the field. But before we get started, we'd actually love to hear from you. We'd love to get to know what is your motivation, your reason for wanting to even pursue this master's program, particularly in special education and with an autism endorsement track. I would love to hear from you. Share your reason, your motivation, your purpose, your why in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. And while you're sharing your answer, I am going to pick on Dr. Kramer. Dr. Kramer, you work with students in so many different capacities and at so many different stages throughout their program completion. What reasons have you heard as to why students end up choosing this very particular master's program?
Sure. So I would say the most common thing that I hear from our current students and our former students is that they face challenges in their classroom. Most of our students are practicing special education teachers or even general ed teachers who have students with disabilities in their class. And they're facing some challenging situation in their own classroom, and they feel like they weren't quite prepared in their bachelor's degree for tackling that problem. So whether it's a behavior concern, a student who's not progressing, a situation where they just feel like I need to learn more. I need to know how to solve this problem so I can be a better teacher for my students. That's probably the most common response that I get from the students that we've served.
Thank you, Dr. Kramer. And I see some of you shared in the chat, and I love the reasons that I'm seeing. My reason is to feel better prepared in my future classrooms. Yes. And then someone else shared, want to make a difference. Yes. I've worked with children with disabilities for a long time for knowledge. I chose this program because of my daughter's recent diagnosis with autism. I'm currently an ESE teacher. I would like to be better at it. We have all sorts of reasons. We have different backgrounds. I love it. And yes, we've seen all of these reasons actually from past students as well. So I think we're all in the right place. Thank you each for sharing. I love all of these answers that I'm seeing. And before we share details about the actual program itself, I would like for us to also talk about FIU today. For those of you who are not very familiar with FIU, Florida International University is the public research university in South Florida. We are part of the state university system in Florida, and we offer bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs in many different disciplines, including, of course, education. And one of our biggest pride points is that we are one of the largest public institutions in the United States based on enrollment class size. We have about 50,000 students enrolled across all of our online and on-campus programs. And we're also the #1 university to award bachelor's and master's degrees to Hispanic students. And from the very beginning, since FIU was created, we have always catered to students who are juggling many different things in their lives, many different responsibilities. And it's been important that our students have flexible options to be able to complete their degree. And we've created online programs just for that. And we've been doing online education at FIU for over 25 years now. We offer over 120 programs that you can complete in a 100% online environment. And we also are the #1 university to have Quality Matters certification. What that means is that our online courses are effective in making sure that our students are hitting up those learning objectives and really learning the learning objectives. So the idea is to not only deliver your curriculum and your content in an online modality, but really to create an entire online ecosystem of online experiences for you as a student. Now, the online Master of Science in Special Education with an Autism Endorsement track, it is 100% online, and you can also complete it in only 12 months. 12 intense months, but 12 months. And we've built it that way really to help you get to that next step. Now, the program consists of 12 courses or the equivalent of 36 credits. And the entire tuition for all of those 12 courses is $18,300. And the courses are basically structured into 8-week chunks. So every 8 weeks, you'd be changing the courses that you'll be completing throughout that 12-month time. And the program does lead to the Florida Autism Endorsement through the Florida Department of Education. We'll talk about that later on in more detail. The program does not require the GRE for admission. So that is one less headache to think of. And we're currently recruiting for our next start of the program, which is in August. So it's right after the summer. It's in August 2024. It'd be something that you would start in August and then you would finish at the end of the summer of 2025. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about what's next. Now, if we're here today, I have a hunch that probably many of you are already in the education system. You're probably already in the K-12 system, whether it's in public, private, charter. And I can only think that you've seen different types of challenges. Now, here's a question for the group and for Dr. Kramer. The question is, what are the top challenges in special education? And the reason we're asking this is because we'd love to see what are those challenges you have seen yourself in the classroom, in the school system. And please share your answers in the chat. What are those challenges that you've seen? Share them in the chat. We'd love to see them. We'd love to discuss them. And in the meantime, Dr. Kramer, what are those challenges that special education leaders are facing today?
Sure. So I think some of the more common ones that I hear from our current students is issues with challenging behaviors in the classroom. Sometimes these behaviors are like externalizing or disruptive behaviors, but a lot of times it's concerns about students who are just disengaged, not motivated to learn, not wanting to complete assignments, not staying engaged with instruction. That's been a really big challenge, I think even more so since COVID. I think engaging students in being present after being out of school has still been a challenge, even as we've been back to school for a little while. So I know we've adjusted our curriculum, and I'll get into that in a little while about our courses, to try to target some of these new ways of learning in this post-COVID world. I think also engaging families and parents. I know I read some about that in some of the earlier responses. Some of our potential students wanted to connect with families, and we have a class that really targets that, particularly as we look at more diverse families, like those that we serve here in Miami. I think that's also another challenge. And I think really just being all things to all people. Educators are expected to balance so many different responsibilities today. And I think learning how to navigate that, how to be an educator and a leader at the same time, I think that's a challenge for a lot of practicing teachers.
Thank you, Dr. Kramer. And in addition to the disconnect and the lack of engagement, some of the answers that we're seeing in the chat, there's one prominent one, which is not enough resources. Classroom size, ratio, support. Yes, lack of resources. That is the one that most of you have seen yourselves. So thank you for sharing. And yes,
and sadly, we don't teach you how to have more resources directly, although we teach you how to work with the resources that you do have. that a master's degree, unfortunately, cannot always fix.
Now let's talk about the curriculum of this master's degree, because we just spoke about the challenges. And I guess my question, Dr. Kramer, is how do the courses of the master's program prepare students to manage these challenges?
Sure. So as you can see here, we have the courses sort of broken down into two categories. We do have 4 classes that focus specifically on autism. Those are at the bottom of the slide. And those are the 12 credits that lead to the state of Florida endorsement in autism. So within those courses, we give some general background in the nature and needs of students with autism, general background about autism. We teach our teachers how to deal with challenging behaviors in the behavioral management and positive behavioral supports for students with autism. We teach about assistive and instructional technology, and we teach how to assess and instruct students with autism. Then in our core courses, which is basically the rest of our special education curriculum that's not just specifically focused on students with autism, we have 3 courses that are a research sequence. So the first one is Foundations of Educational Research. And then the second 2 are actually 2 parts of an action research series. The first one is Advanced Theory and Research in Special Ed. And the follow-up course to that is Integration of Curriculum, Assessment, and Instruction. And in this course, our students can actually tackle a real problem that they're facing in their current teaching situation. And if somebody's not currently in a school, we help them connect with a student that they can do their project with. But basically, they're tackling a problem that they're seeing in the classroom. They dig into the existing literature to find out what has already been done about this problem. And then they have a chance to actually design a study that they will implement with their students, where they'll collect data, analyze their results, and then present that data to hopefully tackle some challenge or issue that they're facing in their classroom. We also have a class that provides students with information about instructional technology, including distance learning approaches. We have a course where we really focus on culturally and linguistically diverse learners and some of the implications for reaching students in a culturally responsive manner. We have a class that looks at current issues and trends in the field, and that changes every year, and that addresses a lot of like the challenges that are happening today. We have a class about supervision and leadership, really grounding yourself as a leader within the field. And then we have a class specifically focused on working with collaboratively with families of students with disabilities. So I think a lot of the challenges that sort of organically came up and some of those that I mentioned really are addressed throughout this curriculum.
Thank you, Dr. Kramer. And the whole experience of the program is really meant to be supportive. And with that, we are also, in addition to the curriculum, we are also offering limited scholarships. Now, these are FIU Online scholarships for students starting in the fall of 2024. So again, August 2024. So if you're thinking about the program, I just want you to know that there's these scholarships available. And there's 3 different opportunities. These are only the opportunities offered through the FIU Online department at the university. There's many other scholarships that you may be eligible for. And the first opportunity offered through FIU Online is our corporate and community scholarship. It's a $2,000 award, and it's awarded to a number of students who are either members or employees of organizations making a difference. And if you're an educator, you are 100% making an impact, making a difference. So we really want you to apply to the scholarship, because I think just by applying to this program, you probably already qualify for the scholarship. So again, it's a $2,000 scholarship. And then we also have our academic merit scholarship. This scholarship is a competitive scholarship. This is for those of you who have very high GPAs from your undergraduate, particularly your upper division coursework, your last 60 credits from your bachelor's degrees. This is also a $2,000 award. And again, if you have a high GPA, we want you to apply to the scholarship. It is competitive, I will tell you that. And then we also have our FIU Online Get Started scholarship. This scholarship is a $1,000 award for students who are facing a hardship, a challenge. If you're facing a hardship, we want you to apply to the scholarship as well. Now, again, all of these scholarships are not guaranteed. However, I want to encourage you to still apply, because the reality is that you may still be selected for one of these scholarships. So again, just because they're not guaranteed does not mean that you should not apply. You should apply. You should 100% apply to these scholarships. And those are some of our numbers, just to kind of share how much assistance this has been over the last 3 years. With these 3 different scholarships, FIU Online has awarded over $200,000 to over 100 students. And the process to apply to these scholarships is to first apply to the program, and afterwards apply to the scholarships. And you do that at this website that's at the bottom of the screen, fiu.academicworks.com. That is FIU's scholarship portal. And on that portal, you are going to find many other listings, many other scholarship opportunities. And I highly encourage you to sit down, look through those listings, see which scholarships you qualify for, and apply to them. Because similar situation, when I have conversations with other staff members who work in different departments at the university, the word of advice is always to apply to the scholarships, because you may be selected as a recipient. So those are that's my encouragement to you. And then also, this program is also eligible for federal financial aid, or what some of you may know as the FAFSA. And the way to apply for federal financial aid is you can either do it through the studentaid.gov app or the My Student Aid mobile app. And you will need FIU's federal school code. This is 009635. Feel free to take a print screen of this, but this information is also on FIU's website. And keep in mind that you will need your tax returns from 2 years ago in order to apply to the federal financial aid for the 2024 to 2025 FAFSA. So again, there is assistance and help for you. Now, let's talk about admissions and application. Admissions and application of the program. Jackie, can you share with our future students what they have to do to be admitted into the program?
Yes, so I promise you it is not as hard as it seems. So the first step you will want to do is to officially apply via the online application found at go.fiu.edu/apply. You will want to create your profile by creating a username and password. And you will want to save that information for future reference. Now, once you're inside the online application portal, you will want to select the correct concentration, which would be the special education online program, specifically stating that it's the online option. Otherwise, it will not be routed to us. Now, as far as supporting documents, very important for those students that are domestic graduates. So if you graduated within the US, you will want to have your university provide official transcripts to graduate admissions via email at gradadm@fiu.edu. Now, if you graduated from FIU, this is not needed as your transcripts are already on file. So you don't have to worry about that if you graduated from FIU. Then you will want to provide your statement of purpose, your resume. If you graduated with a degree that is not in education, we ask that you demonstrate teaching experience and preferably to highlight, any academic or professional experience you have in special education. And then also your recommendations, your recommendation letters. Now, if you are an international graduate, you will have these basic documents to submit, but also additional ones that are required by graduate admissions, which includes your official transcripts, translations if needed, your certified diploma, and your course evaluations from an NACES member. And again, we'll be sending this out, and any of you that fall under this category, please let me know and we'll give you the details as far as NACES agencies that can provide these documentations. Now, if your degree was completed in a country where English is not the official language, you will need to provide English proficiency exam scores. And so a lot of students opt to take the TOEFL or the Duolingo, but there are other options, including the IELTS. And again, any questions regarding this, please let us know and we will guide you accordingly, step by step.
Thank you, Jackie. And we also want to share that if you do decide to join the program, that we will cover your application fee. So there normally is an application fee with the graduate admission school at FIU. However, we don't want you to have to worry about that fee. Please take a print screen of this slide because this slide is going to give you the instructions so that we can cover that fee for you. The instructions are to submit your application at go.fiu.edu/apply. That is the process that Jackie was just talking about. The actual application there takes about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. It's basically, you have to create a username. It's going to ask you information about yourself, such as like your name, your address, but then a series of other information specifically related to the former colleges and universities that you attended. And towards the very end of that questionnaire, there will be a question asking you how you would like to pay the application fee. And what we're asking is that you select the pay by check option. So again, you would select the pay by check option. And afterwards, you would contact Jackie at her email address, jdip@fiu.edu, to confirm you submitted your application and just request for your application fee to be covered. We'll need your application number and your Panther ID in that email. Basically, after you submit your, after those 10 to 15 minutes of creating your application at go.fiu.edu/apply, after you submit that, you're going to get an email with your application number and your Panther ID, which is your student ID. And then we will look you up on the back end and we'll cover that fee for you, but you must select the pay by check option. And I just want to stress that the documents, the admissions documents that are required with your application package, you can submit all of those afterwards. So the actual application itself takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And then as you're gathering the documents, which we understand it will take you some time, you can submit all of that afterwards. And we are here every step of the way for any questions. So do contact us with anything that's on your mind. Now, I see that some of you have already started sharing your questions in the chat. And we want to take this time and space to answer your questions. You can either continue sharing your questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself or turn on your video, whichever you prefer. Let's see what questions we have.
Augustina, did you have a question? I saw you turned your camera on. Imro, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Good evening. My name is Imro Ones. I am employed at Goods Elementary in the ASD apartment. My question is, I already have a master's degree from Walden University, a master's in an education with a line to special ed. However, since I work with kids that are autistic, I would love to have the official autism endorsement. Do I have to do the whole program again, please?
So this program is a cohort model program. So we only accept students who are, for this particular program, who are going to complete the entire program. It's not possible to come in and just, pick a class here and a class there. If you have an interest in pursuing that, just the endorsement specifically, I'm going to refer you to one of my colleagues. I'll put the information in the chat of a colleague of mine who has a grant that supports students just to do the autism classes. But that is different than applying for this master's program, because this master's program really is intended to be completed in its entirety.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I see a question in the chat. Graduated with a bachelor's in special ed, waiting for teacher certification. No, you can go ahead and apply. We look at, as Jackie mentioned earlier, we look at each application holistically. So if you don't have the certification, but you have already courses in special ed or experience in special ed, we can consider that in lieu of the certification.
And just for everyone to know, the program does not lead to teacher certification.
And there's a question in the chat about tuition. There may be some confusion, but the tuition for all of the 12 courses is $18,300. As Jackie mentioned, it is a fixed tuition per semester, which is $6,100. It's 3 different semesters throughout that 12-month span. So again, the tuition of the program is $18,300.
Yes, and that includes, when we say fixed tuition, we mean that it includes all the university fees. So there are no surprises. Each term your tuition is going to be that $6,100. And again, that does include the university fees.
So I see a question about what kind of jobs could I do with this master's. So you could be a teacher. It doesn't lead to a certification if you're not already certified, but if you are interested in pursuing education or you are a teacher, this would better prepare you to be a teacher. And with the autism endorsement, you would be qualified to, if you're in the state of Florida, to work with students who have autism. It also prepares you to work directly with children if you're doing any sort of tutoring, if you're doing any sort of private therapies. It can prepare you to be an educational leader within schools, not a principal or an assistant principal, but other roles like a curriculum specialist or a lead teacher. Really, the possibilities are pretty broad to design curriculum, to create materials. It really depends on what your interests are. There's a range of possibilities. But I will say primarily the people who complete this program go on to be, or are already and continue to be teachers.
We have a question that was already answered in the chat, but I'm just gonna share it verbally because I think this may be a question that's on many people's minds. The question is how long it takes to get an answer or a reply as to whether you're accepted into the program or not after you have submitted your entire application package and all your documents. And I guess, Jackie, you answered it beautifully in the chat, but do you want to share with our prospective students kind of like what that process looks like and you know, what they can expect after they do submit everything on their end?
Yes, so the process is, so once you apply, we normally check the applications once a week. If there's anything pending or, you know, additional information is needed, I will reach out to you directly, you know, stating what exactly it is that you need, whether it's your pending transcripts, you know, or resume, whatever the case may be. And then from there, once we have everything, we go ahead and send it out for review. So I would say the process takes about 1 to 2 weeks, depending, you know, if you have everything in, you know, we'll be able to shoot it out right away. But if anything is pending, you know, that's where the delay is. And most of the times excuse me, most of the times the delay is with transcripts. So for those who graduated in other universities, where the university needs to provide the transcripts. Sometimes, you know, they may not have the electronic option, so they have to send it via snail mail, or if, you know, sometimes they'll send it to the wrong email. So in either case, you know, we're there to guide you accordingly, and you can expect it to be about 2 weeks or so.
There's another question about the application fee. I mentioned earlier that we can cover your application fee. And the question is, what if I already paid the application fee? So the only way that we can cover that fee for you is if you select the pay by check option. So again, these are the steps for us to be able to cover your application fee. So if you already paid the fee, unfortunately, we're unable to cover it for you. However, if for those of you who have not submitted your application and you wish to apply to the program, please do follow these steps. Feel free to take a print screen so that you can reference it later. And I really like this question because I think also many applicants, it's on many applicants' minds based on just my historical conversations. The following question is, well, I'm gonna share it how it was shared, but basically I graduated with a bachelor's in ESE and I'm waiting for my teacher certification. Do I need the teacher certification to apply to the program?
So I did answer that one. As I said, that all applications will be looked at holistically. So somebody who has already studied special education, they won't need to have that certification in order to apply.
Thank you, Dr. Kramer.
And I see a question here regarding increase in fees. So no, one of the benefits of this program is that there, at least for the upcoming academic year, there are no increases in our, you know, in our side of things. So even if the university has increased their fees, it does not impact the tuition that, you know, students in this program pay.
I have a question.
Yes.
My question is about, I see that there's not many scholarships. What happens if we start and for some reason the second or third semester we can't afford it? Do we just stop? What happens in that case?
And I just want to mention and point out that even though you saw those FIU online scholarships, there's tons out there. And so what happens is once you're admitted, you will have access to the Academics Works database, and you'll be able to apply to not just those offered through FIU Online, but others that may be offered through the School of Education or through external donors. And once you're admitted, we provide you a list of those resources. So it's not like you're going in blind, right? But there's also the option of financial aid because special education is a high need area. There are other resources. And again, once you're admitted, we provide that information to you so you can go ahead and explore those different options. Now, you know, if it doesn't, you know, maybe you don't want to use financial aid, or maybe whatever your financial situation is, that would be up to you, how you wish to proceed with your, personal financial, situation. But, just going forward, that your tuition every semester will be that 6,100. So it, hopefully that helps you budget and plan accordingly.
A question.
Yes.
My question is, if you are already a teacher, do you have to necessarily be specialized in the special education field? Because I teach English language arts, and I just have more of a passion for teaching the autism students. So that's why I'm very interested in joining the program. Do I actually have to be like certified in special education before applying?
So this would be a case where I would look at the application on a case-by-case basis and determine if I feel you have enough background in special ed to be successful in the program, because it is a challenging program. Completing an entire master's degree in 1 year in and of itself is challenging. And our courses are designed for people that already have a basic understanding of special education. This is not a class, a program to teach you the basics of special ed. We're kind of assuming that the people in the program already have a foundational understanding of special ed. So that's why I would look at the application, see the types of courses you've taken, see the types of students you've worked with, and determine if I think that your combination of coursework and experiences would allow you to be successful. It was designed with those who are already certified in special ed in mind, but we are flexible, like I said, to look at things holistically and decide on a case-by-case basis.
Well, this would be my second master's degree. My first master's degree is in reading education, where we, study all about all different types of students, not just, gen ed students.
Okay,
So
so I don't want to
would
get
that make a
too deep.
difference?
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into any one case on this general call. So I will definitely, if you've applied, I will definitely give a lot of consideration and review of your application and make a
Okay,
determination what I see.
not a problem. Thank you.
Okay,
With
and
this,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
with this master's, can we also, would it help us if we wanted to be a curriculum specialist? I mean, in
Yes.
the future?
Yes,
Yes.
that was one of the fields I mentioned, and somebody else asked about an autism specialist. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, and I see here a question regarding the documentations and supporting documents. No, so to submit your supporting documents, aside from the transcripts, which that must come from your university, or again, if you graduated from FIU, that's not needed. But for your recommendations, your resume, all the other documentations, you would just upload it to your online application, or you can always email it to me. You don't have to go to the FIU campus to submit that paperwork.
So I see a couple of questions here. Somebody says they're in the process of learning English and doesn't speak fluently. Can they access this degree? So two things to consider there. If you are an international student, you do need to pass a certain level of English proficiency. There was an earlier slide with the different exams and the different requirements. So that's at the bottom of the slide that's now up on the screen. So as an international student, if that's the case for you, you would need to demonstrate proficiency on these exams, and the university does not make exceptions for this. There's no way to petition around this. But just even if you are not an international student or don't, or are able to pass the exam, the classes will all be in English and all of the assignments will be turned in English, and it is quite a rigorous program. So if you yourself feel that you struggle to learn and respond in English, I don't know how successful you would be at the program at this time, because again, the everything will take place in English in the program, both the delivery of instruction and the expectations of the submissions of assignments. So only you know if that's something that you could handle at that level academically. I saw another question about adding the autism certification. So in order to add the autism endorsement specifically in the state of Florida, you need to add that to an existing certification. It's not a standalone certification. So you would need to be a teacher certified in something to get the official state of Florida endorsement added to your certificate. It's an add-on. So if you are a certified teacher, you could add on the autism endorsement. If you are not certified as a teacher, then there really is no way to add that endorsement to your certificate because there would need to be a certificate to add it onto. There's a question about proof of residency. I honestly don't know the answer to that, Jackie. Maybe you do.
Yes, I'm going up. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I'm catching up to all the comments. So before I address that, I do want to, there was a good question here that said, the letters of recommendation, who they should be from. So the letters of recommendation, you will want to be sure that they are academic or professional references. So if you're a current student, or perhaps, you keep in touch with one of your professors from undergraduate studies, that you can, if an advisor from your undergraduate studies, that would be considered academic, now professional, if you have, your supervisor, the principal at your school, your coworker, that's kind of what we're looking for. While personal recommendations are great, that's not what we're looking for. So you want to make sure that they're academic or professional. Now, as far as the Florida residency, you can provide a copy of your driver's license and perhaps a copy of your voter's registration. But you don't have to worry about that now. I'm glad that you're being proactive and one step ahead of everyone, but no worries about that.
Actually, I just realized this is a flat rate program, so it doesn't matter if you're a resident of Florida or not. The price is the same. So it's I'm not, it might ask if you're a resident, but it's really negligible as far as this particular program.
Yes, that's correct. So whether you're international student or domestic student, the tuition will be the same for all students. Now, just a heads up, yes, if you do select Florida residency on your application, the university will ask for that proof of residency. And again, it has nothing to do with tuition, it's just for their reporting purposes. So that's what I thought you were referencing, but you don't have to worry about that part right now.
There's another question, I'm not sure if we addressed it, from somebody who they mentioned that they have their degree in special education, and that they have that their degree is from another university. I'm assuming it's an international university or a university outside of the United States. And in the chat, it just says that the evaluation was from Silney. I'm assuming that's Joseph and Silney, which is one of the NACES members. However, please do reach out to us so that we can better guide you. Again, this event today is meant to be informational and for us to answer your questions as much as possible. But when we get into the details of your application and your admission, we'd love to connect with you one-on-one to make sure that we're giving you the unique answer that you need for your particular situation. And there's another question from somebody mentioned, I'm sorry I joined late. Are there any scholarships? And yes, there are different scholarship resources available to you. These are some of the scholarships up on the screen that are offered exclusively from the FIU Online department at the university. There's other scholarships that are available. And so these are the 3 different scholarship opportunities available from FIU Online. They are not guaranteed to every single student. However, I encourage you to apply to these scholarships. The process to apply is to first apply to the program, and afterwards apply at the bottom of the website that you see at the bottom of the screen, fiu.academicworks.com. That is FIU's scholarship portal, and you can submit your scholarship applications there. And again, I encourage each and every one of you to look through that portal, look through those listings, see which scholarships you qualify for, and apply for them. And then there's another follow-up question. Are these scholarships semester-based or apply to the entire program? Great question. So the first 2 scholarships you see on the screen, the $2,000, basically the $2,000 scholarships, it's the $2,000 are dispersed to students, are divided and dispersed to students throughout the first 3 semesters. And while the program is only 3 semesters long, so basically it would be around $666 every semester, totaling up to $2,000. So it's $2,000 divided by 3. And then you would get that every semester. So it's about $666 every semester. However, the other scholarship, which is the $1,000 scholarship, that is given in entirety during the first semester. So the first 2 scholarships up on the screen are divided up in, throughout the completion of the program in 3 semesters. And then the last one is awarded in entirety, $1,000 in the first semester.
I saw a question in the chat. What should I say in my personal statement? So here's your opportunity to share information with us about why you're interested in this particular degree, what experiences you've had that you think make you a good candidate for this degree, really just for us to learn a little more about you. And I also use that to see your style of writing and if you're demonstrating a good understanding of writing, because that is a big part of this program as well.
Thank you.
I think we've covered all the questions, but let's hang out because I think maybe there's more questions.
Okay, I have another one again. It has to do with money. So let's say we apply and we get in, and then we apply for scholarships, and we can't make it for some reason. Scholarships only cover 2,000, and I'm missing 4, and I can't make it with the money. What happens then? Do I get to reapply next year? Will there be a penalty for that? I mean, if we apply after June 1st, will it be for next year?
Yes, so it really depends on you. I mean, you're going in knowing the tuition and, if you fall off track, that goes for whatever the case may be. That is not something we encourage because this is a lockstep program. So the courses are only offered once per year. So that's not something we encourage, simply because, again, it is a lockstep program, and falling off track will just, delay you even further. And we also have the action research courses where, there's prereq courses involved in that. So that will delay you even more.
But the question though, about if you apply and then realize you can't start and want to start next year instead, there's no penalty for that. Because I did hear you ask that as well. It's once you start the program, it's complicated if you don't stay continuously. That's where you can fall behind, have to redo some things. But if you apply today and then, August comes and you just can't pull the money together, then you can have a conversation with Jackie about deferring. But Jackie's usually pretty good about helping connect people to resources.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And I also want to add that basically there's a tuition deadline or a payment deadline every semester, right? It's about more or less about a week and a half to 2 weeks after classes start. And if, the idea is for students to pay their tuition before that deadline, because if not, you may be unenrolled from your courses. But then FIU also has additional payment plan options where you can either divide up that payment in either 2 installments or 3 installments. Now you still have to pay in that given semester, but it kind of it allows you a little bit more time, not too much time, but a little bit more time to set up those payments. And I'm going to just share a link in the chat, which may be helpful. And this link, I think it's referencing summer semester, but it'll kind of give you an idea for what the fall semester would look like. There's another question about somebody not being able to access their Panther ID. I guess for that person who's unable to access their Panther ID, did you already apply to this master's program, or are you a former bachelor's student?
Yes, you can reach out to me.
Okay.
Reach out to me. And we'll see what's going on there.
Yeah, if you have any sort of difficulties, Jackie is your go-to person.
So you have to have like, I don't have an ID either. I thought first you applied and then we get an ID. How
Yes,
does that work?
yes, you first apply and then you get a Panther ID. Yes, which is a student ID. We call it a Panther ID, but it's basically your student ID. This particular person who asked in the chat, they're a former student in some capacity, so.
Okay, because I do have my principal asking me for my student ID in order to complete my papers,
Mm,
which I don't have one, and I wrote to her that I'm in the process.
Yeah, so once you apply, if you're new to FIU, once you apply, the system will generate one for you and it will, it'll notify you of your Panther ID. Sometimes it takes a little longer for students that are new to FIU, but one will be generated by the system.
So I put the letters of recommendation without an ID.
Yeah, because once you apply, they can either send it to me and, I'll connect the names.
Right, let's see if you have any more questions. This is the time to get them answered live. You can always connect with us later and we can answer your questions in a more individual and one-on-one setting.
Yeah, and you guys have my email there. If any questions come up, I always say if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you think of something, shoot me an email.
Yeah, I just, before we disconnect, I just want to add that I know, for many of you, you're already in the education system, but maybe it's been a while since you were in a degree program. We know this is a big step, and I just want to share that we're here to help you. We're here to help you, to guide you. We want to help you figure out whether this is the program for you, depending on what you're looking for and what your goals are. Jackie is a great resource. So is Alexandra. So is Dr. Kramer. We're all here to help you navigate your next steps. And what we want to do is just help you get closer to wherever it is that you want to be. And if this is the program for you, then we look forward to hopefully seeing you in our classes, in our 100% online classes in August. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing all of your insight and all of your questions. And we look forward to connecting even further with you. Thank you. Be well. Bye.